The Detroit Tigers win a series against the Baltimore Orioles and gain some ground in the wild card hunt. We'll talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Monday, September 16th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. And your Detroit Tigers took 2 of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles this weekend in what was an absolutely electric weekend at Comerica Park. Just awesome. Just awesome. Like, you know, there was a lot of question marks surrounding, they've gone on a run, they've beat some bad teams and whatnot. Like, what are they going to do against the Orioles and the Royals and then the Orioles again? And to get off on this strong of a foot, to defend home field, defend Comerica there, and to take 2 of 3 from a team that is 84-66. It is absolutely huge. It's awesome. It's exciting. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy with how this weekend unfolded. They would win 1-0, lose 4-2, and then win 4-2. They do gain a game in the AL wildcard race there. So they are now, at the time of this recording, 2.5 games back. The Twins put the hurt on the Reds on Sunday, or else it would have been a game and a half back. However, the Twins still did drop 2 of 3 to the Reds this weekend. So because the Tigers won 2 of 3 as opposed to losing the series, they do gain a game there. So successful weekend, right? You played a team that's probably better than you. You won the series, and the Twins dropped a game they shouldn't have. Can't ask for too much more than that. Now, hindsight's 2020. I know a lot of people are thinking, well, if you swept, you would have gained 2 games for sure. Absolutely fair enough. But I'm not going to expect the Twins to get swept the rest of the way. They're a pretty good team, and I'm not going to expect us to sweep a team that's better than us either. I am going to gladly take the outcome of this weekend and then focus on Kansas City. Okay. So what went right this weekend? Obviously, Sunday was just a huge game in general, but this whole weekend, again, 2 of 3, and you put up a fight on Saturday there in the 9th inning as well. The biggest thing that went right this weekend, though, is just pitching all around. And I know that's super vague, but that is just how this team continues to win ball games, right? You almost had a combined no-hitter on Friday. It was a perfect game, actually, a combined perfect game at one point there, going into the later innings. Brant Herter, 5 2/3, no hits, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Absolutely phenomenal. He has a 2.56 ERA. The sweeper that he offers is disgusting. It's really, really impressive. And I think the thing about it that excites me the most is the fact that he throws it against righties and lefties. It's obviously much more effective, and not because it's not effective against righties, but because it's so effective against lefties that's obviously going to be where it's kind of highlighted, and you're going to see the benefits of it the most, I guess. However, what he was offering on Friday was nothing short of perfect, like truly. The fact that he was able to throw that sweeper low and into righties, I think was absolutely ridiculous. And then even went backdoor a couple of times, which is risky, but he pulled it off and executed well. I was just so unbelievably impressed, and a lot of people on social media were talking about his delivery and whatnot after this ball game. I think his delivery is like ideal for a long inning reliever. I think he and his stuff too, right? Solid fastball, really really good sweeper. I think that everything then lefty, I think all of that put together leads itself to be a really really good, multi-inning reliever type of pitcher. And I think that that's probably the role that he will assume going into next season. However, I mean, this was almost 6 innings of perfect ball, right? It was 6 innings, 5 2/3 of no hit ball with 1 walk by the end of it. 8 strikeouts, like I said, he was ridiculous. And if they want to give him starting pitching innings these last 2 weeks of the season here to see what they got, and if they go into spring training next year and give him starting pitching innings because of how he looked this year, I am all in favor of it. Again, just because what I think he is most likely to end up as long term is a multi-inning reliever does not mean that he hasn't earned the right. And just out of like curiosity, like, okay, if his ceiling's a starter, then like, yeah, try to get him to reach his absolute peak. And he continues to be one of the cooler stories of the second half of this season, and a team that has been surrounded and filled with cool storylines here in the second half of the year. Ty Madden, 3 1/3, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, has a 2.55 ERA. The splitter continues to be a complete revelation. It looks phenomenal. It looks phenomenal. And it is, I don't want to say the sole reason, but it's a mighty big reason as to why he has seen the success that he has seen. Sean Gunther, some perfect ball over the weekend, 0.73 ERA. Like, honestly, the frustrating part of this, and this is like half, tongue in cheek, but like you think back to Joey Wentz, and this is not like he's gone, he's in a different organization. I'm not trying to, just like kick him while he's down kind of thing, but like we've gotten this level of production from so many lefties who were just in the system. Why did we wait so long? Why did we hold out hope for Joey Wentz? Why do we continue trying to see if that would work with all of the fantastic lefties we've gotten production from in the system, internally? It's just kind of a frustrating, I don't know, different viewpoint there, I guess, of what we've seen. But we're going to focus on the good and focus on the winning the Tigers have been doing. Keider Montero, 5 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. He now his ERA is down to 4.6. That's back-to-back shutout outings. He was a ground ball machine. The fact that he was able to face as many lefties as he did in this ball game and induce as many ground outs as he did in this ball game, I think is absolutely phenomenal. The changeup he left up a couple of times, but for the most part was locating pretty well again. And it looks like the velo was down a little bit. I'm sure they just wanted to play it kind of precautiously there on Sunday as to why he didn't have a very high pitch count, was pitching pretty well, but only went 5. I think that's probably why the Tigers still win. And obviously they're going to prioritize his health more than anything else here. Then you have Hannafy, looked really strong again over the weekend, and Tyler Holton. He might just be better than Mariano Rivera. Obviously kidding, but like he's unreal. Tyler Holton is unbelievable, and he is kind of the focal point of, pitching continues to be the biggest reason why this run this team has had is happening, and why the playoff push is even why we're even remotely considering playoffs at this point. Whatever meeting Scott Harrison, we mocked it. The fan base mocked it. Do you remember? Like we all mocked that the report that was like, oh, AJ Hinch and Scott Harris are going to have a meeting because it was like breakfast, right? They're like, oh, we're going to have breakfast and really figure out how the pitching staff is going to look here in the second half, post trade deadline after trading Flaherty and whatnot. And we like made fun of it. We were like, all right, yeah, breakfast is going to solve all these problems. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall of that breakfast that AJ Hinch said turned into lunch, because it has worked tenfold. Pitching, pitching, pitching. That is why this is happening. Let's talk about the offense too. All right, we'll do that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you today. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shots to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping Game 1 against the Kansas City Royals. Also, be sure to check out Jake Rietma over at the Locked On Tigers postcast. If you're listening on audio, you're going to see it every day already. It's on YouTube, Locked On Detroit Sports. So, Tigers. That's what we talk about here on Locked On Tigers. Big series win against the Baltimore Orioles. Let's talk about the offense a little bit. Riley Greene on Sunday had a complete, just put the team on my back type of performance. He hits 2 home runs on Sunday. And, you know, when people throw around franchise player, what does that mean? That type of performance is what it means to be a franchise player. His OPS is now almost back up to 850. And people have had their frustrations with Greene, and there's been some inconsistencies, and obviously the injury situation that he's had so far in his major league career, et cetera, et cetera. Games like this give you a glimpse of like, okay, this dude is still so young. Like people are like, oh, he's not this, so he's, not a franchise player. So he is so young still. He's so young. Okay. And the fact that he's already this talented at this age, I think that this is still a glimpse of the future. And performances like this make you think, okay, it's a reminder of what he is right now as well, which is a darn good baseball player. So unbelievable performance by him on Sunday. I thought the 9th inning on Saturday as a whole was just impressive. Obviously, it ended up being a losing effort. However, I was still really impressed with Spencer Torkelson specifically. Had a really nice mid-at-bat adjustment there, right? He gets down 2 strikes against him, doesn't try to tie the game or win the game with one swing, just dumps the ball off to the opposite field. Nice little single right over the glove of the second baseman. Beautiful adjustment there. Just take what the pitcher gives you, keep the line moving, and show some fight. And I thought that was really impressive. And the Tigers as a whole, Colt Keith in that inning and game. But, the fact that they kept the line moving there and did fight back, I thought was pretty impressive. And those are some pretty good relievers there in the Orioles bullpen. Obviously, Parker Meadows with a big home run to start off that inning as well. Colt Keith as a whole this weekend, fantastic at the plate. 3 for 4 on Saturday, 1 for 3 with an RBI on Sunday. Went through that. It's kind of been a roller coaster, right? There's been really low lows for Colt Keith. There's been some high points as well. I still think we're all kind of waiting for him to start driving the ball a lot more, right? Like really doing damage like he did in the minors. But this is kind of what, it's obviously prolonged because it's major league pitching, but this is kind of what he's done at every level. Right? Started off slow, then was kind of a contact hitter. And then once he really got the timing down, the power kind of followed. So kind of waiting for that. But this was a really, really good weekend to just get him back to seeing the ball, find some grass, getting some hits, a 4-hit weekend we're going to take every single day of the weekend. And Parker Meadows with 2 home runs over the weekend. His season OPS is now up to 746, which if you would have said when he got demoted, when he had like an 090 average and OPS in like the 300 or 400s, right? If you would have said then in May that this dude would end the season with an OPS of about 750 or maybe even better, I think all of us would have collectively pointed and laughed in your face. And that is a testament to the adjustments that Parker Meadows has made, the coaching staff, the development staff, and obviously, again, more than anybody, Parker Meadows himself, just putting in work, making adjustments, and coming out on the other side a really, really, really good baseball player. And then in general, the win on Sunday. I know that's how we kind of started the segment as well, but I can't say enough good things. That is a big time win. That's a big boy win right there. Right. Sunday was a game that you had to have. More so than game 3 against Colorado, more so than any game they've played lately. You had to win on Sunday. 1-1. Obviously, in hindsight, Minnesota wins. You're 1-1 in the series against the Orioles. You needed to win the series. You needed to win on Sunday. And not only did you win, you pitched phenomenally well. Keider Montero is a rookie that like a month ago, the fan base was freaking out about, talking about how bad he is. He now hasn't given up a run in like 16 or 15, 14, whatever straight innings, and kept a what did I say the record was? An 84 win, currently Baltimore Orioles team, to 0 runs through 5 innings of efficient baseball, right? Could have gone further had the velocity been a little bit better. Absolutely stellar. Good, great team win on Sunday. Riley Greene, Keider Montero doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, and then Tyler Holton, obviously, as well. What went wrong this weekend? It wasn't a perfect weekend. Tigers did drop on Saturday. I think really the biggest thing you can point to about what went wrong was just kind of the offense against Corbin Burnes, right? I mean, if the Tigers even hit remotely well, and again, I think this was a massively successful weekend. I'm not trying to play like the, what could have been game. It's just for the sake of the segment here of what went wrong. If you hit Corbin Burnes even a little bit, even remotely, you're talking about potentially sweeping the Orioles here, given how well the Tigers hit there at the very end of the ball game. So kind of a tough pill to swallow there, knowing what could have been and knowing that you would have gained another game because the Reds won so big on Saturday. But I'm pretty pleased with the weekend. Corbin Burnes is really good. A lot of people were kind of disappointed about that. I think it becomes infinitely less of a just body blow once you win on Sunday, right? I think that makes Saturday a lot easier of a pill to swallow. But I know some people were frustrated because Burnes hasn't been as dominant here in the second half, and especially lately, he was hitting every spot. I don't care, right? Each start is its own entity. I think sometimes as a mistake, as fans, we have a tendency sometimes to go, okay, well, he's been bad lately, so why aren't we doing well against him today? Well, if he's doing well today, then that's why you're not doing well against him today. And he was phenomenal. He was hitting all of his spots. The cutter was absolutely elite. The curveball he really had working for him, and that cutter curveball kind of tunneling combination he had going for him was dang near unhittable. You tip the cap. You won on Friday. You go win on Sunday. You keep your playoff hopes alive for another day. So not too heartbroken about it. That's one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Certainly one of the best pitchers in the American League. Going to get Cy Young votes this year. But certainly, again, once you realize, you could have had another game had you just scored a run or two off of him. I understand the frustration a little bit there. Kenta Maeda, really rough weekend, obviously on Saturday as well. 2 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and then obviously the big home run against. I don't know. He's got a 6 ERA. He has shown that there are some instances in which like low leverage multi innings that he can be, I guess, somewhat of a viable option. But like in any even remotely close game, I don't think a soul in the Tigers fan base wants to see him trotting out of the bullpen. And so you're just in a really tough situation. You got him signed next year. I think in a perfect world, you find a way to get rid of him this winter, but I don't know if that's feasible. I think that the more likely scenario is that they try to get him to actually pitch all off season instead of, doing what he usually does and taking the entire winter off and then not ramping back up until like February. They actually get him to pitch all off season. They see if he can, maybe raise the velocity a little bit, stay sharp all year, and then go into the spring and hope that you have a long reliever, an 11 or $12 million, whatever his contract is, long reliever for 2025. But there is a 0% chance that they're going into next year with the assumption that he's going to be a starting pitcher. That ship has long sailed. And then really, again, it wasn't a stellar offensive weekend. Like you scored 1, 2, and 4 runs. So I think that there was a little bit of room to be desired there, but this is still a really good Orioles team. There's a couple of the young players struggled. Young didn't look particularly well. Dylan Dingler continues to just look absolutely lost at the plate. So there's a couple players individually that struggled, but again, you take 2 of 3, the pitching shows out. We're going to take that 10 times out of 10, baby. All right, let's talk stuff. We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to you today about our friends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch all of the winnings roll in. Also, for September, 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on PrizePicks every week in September. That's right. Only 1 yard can get you an automatic win every football weekend in September. That's 4 weeks of free W's. So don't miss the deal on PrizePicks because it's gone when September ends. You can now also win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. There's so many great offers there. If you download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB as well, you can get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Let's talk stuff. Again, not the greatest offensive performance in the world, but the pitching just continues to be so unbelievably impressive and so just easily the reason why this whole thing is happening. So I want to, again, tip of the cap to, Gabe Rivas, Chris Fetter, we talk about all the time. Juan Nieves, we talk about all the time. Robin Lund, we talk about all the time. Just everybody in the front office and then AJ and Scott and Jeff, like everybody that's involved with, this pitching plan that was put in place for the second half of the year has clearly passed with flying colors. The Tigers have been one of, if not the best pitching staff in baseball since mid or late July there. It's very, very impressive. Another takeaway from the weekend is Gunnar Henderson is unbelievable. And I know that that's common knowledge by anybody who follows the game of baseball with even remote attentiveness. But, we don't talk about the Orioles every day here, obviously, so I kind of get an excuse to when we play them. Gunnar Henderson is absolutely ridiculous. Genuinely. That dude's incredible. I think that's an MVP down the road type of player. What a just overflow of riches the Orioles have in terms of young talent, man. And watching Gunnar Henderson this weekend, he's the leadoff hitter. He should be. He's crushing the ball. He's a good defender at a premier position. Dude is very quickly turning into one of the best players in the game of baseball. Update on Reese Olson. AJ Hinch said that he is quote unquote hoping for Reese Olson to pitch in Kansas City. So am I, AJ. So am I. I too am hoping that Reese Olson pitches against Kansas City. That would be awesome. We'll go over the pitching matchups here at the very end of the show here in a few minutes, but that is a huge addition. A huge addition if the Tigers can get Reese Olson back here in the last couple of weeks of the season. Roberto Clemente honored on Sunday. Everyone wore the 21 patch. Just phenomenal. And I'm so glad that baseball is doing this. I I think that Clemente, somebody tossed out the idea of Clemente being similar to Jackie Robinson Day, where everybody wears 21. I think that that's an idea that baseball should seriously consider at least. But the patches are really cool. We talked about last week in an episode, Tarek Skubal being the Roberto Clemente Award nominee for the Detroit Tigers, just did so much for the game. Tragic, end of his life, and just always great when the Tigers and baseball as a whole get to acknowledge Roberto Clemente and the man that he was. So, yeah, just always really cool to see the patches on the jerseys around the league, and I always appreciate honoring Roberto Clemente and everything he did. So, wanted to point that out as well. Again, successful weekend. The Reds lose to the Twins on Sunday. So you're 2.5 games back going into this series against the Royals. You got a 3-game set against Kansas City starting tonight as you're listening to this on Monday. They will all be 7:40 start times, and it is in Kansas City. That's 7:40 Eastern, obviously. So 6:40 local time for them in Kansas City. The Royals are playing pretty good ball lately. They did, however, lose on Sunday to the Pirates. They fall to 82-68, but that is still a pretty darn good team that has had a pretty darn good year and is 7-3 in their last 10 ball games. Pitching wise, currently it's TBD against Seth Lugo in game 1, Casey Mize versus Cole Reagans in game 2, and Tarek Skubal versus Alec Marsh in game 3. Now, I would say you can kind of pencil in like Tarek Skubal for a win there in the finale. I do love the fact that he is pitching the finale. I think that that's really beneficial for the Tigers. Just split one of the first two and go in with some confidence in that series finale. But the Tigers have lost the last 2 ball games that Tarek Skubal has pitched in, unfortunately, or that he has started in, I should just say. So hopefully that is something that that can be righted, and the Tigers can kind of right the ship there. But I mean, golly, it's frustrating to have in the back of your mind, okay, well, the guy who's probably been the best pitcher in baseball this year, the Tigers can't score enough offense to support him in his last couple of times out there. Casey Mize versus Cole Reagans, that's going to be a tough one. Okay, uphill battle in that one. And then if they end up going, I don't know if that's Reese Olson, I don't know if that's just a bullpen day as a whole. But Seth Lugo had a pretty solid year for the Royals as well. So a lot of moving parts there. Again, if you can just split the first 2 ball games and go into game 3 there on Saturday with Skubal on the bump, I think you got to feel pretty good about that. Okay. Twins play the Guardians this week. That's the series they kick off on Monday. Twins Guardians in Cleveland. I can't believe I'm saying this, okay? Let's go Guards. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping game 1 against the Royals, as well as talking about anything else surrounding the Tigers organization. Lions lost, Twins won, but successful weekend for the Detroit Tigers. All right. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. We'll be back tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.